Welcome back. This is Greg with SportsRehabExpert.com. Today we're going to be covering the reverse Nordic, all the progressions that we utilize with our rehab and training programs, laid out in a systematic way so you know how to progress through the easiest version to the most difficult, challenging version. Always being sure to never work through pain or any pain lingering that you may find the next day. So never work through pain, not a good idea. All right, so this is going to be the simplest version that we have. This is going to be the starting point for some people. Other people, you might be able to progress past this point. So it's just getting on all fours and rocking your butt back towards your heels so that you can get this amount of knee range of motion. Notice that my toes are tucked. That's level 1. Level 2 would be flattening them out and doing the same thing, rocking your butt back towards your heels. Level 3 is keeping, but you can go back to the toes tucked if you want to, and just working on sitting butt to heel while keeping an upright torso and then coming right back up. So you can do this 4 reps. Make sure there's equal pressure on big toe and little toe, sitting your butt directly down between the heels. And then you can again flatten the feet and go through a little bit larger range of motion. These beginning stages, it might be useful to not be wearing shoes because you can sink down into that range of motion a little bit further. But as you'll see in a moment, it's useful to wear shoes with some of the more advanced versions of the reverse Nordic. So now before we get into the more challenging versions, realize that anywhere among these stages you might become stuck and you might feel like you can't get any further. Your range of motion just isn't improving. So it's okay to go to the next level so long as there is not pain and continue challenging yourself, but you're always welcome to come back to the level beforehand to redevelop some of that more range of motion as you end up developing strength in the range of motion that you currently have. What you may find is that your range of motion improves over time. So again, if you get stuck, start developing more strength in the range of motion that you have currently pain-free, then come back to some of the more regressed versions and see if you can't later on get a little bit further with those and then progress back through the routine in a more advanced way in a larger range of motion. Next up is the reverse Nordic through a top range of movement. So the easiest way to start is by tucking your toes underneath you. That way you can think about driving your big toe as well as your shin down into the floor to give you a little bit of leverage. That pushing down with your shins and toes into the floor is what's going to help drive you back up towards upright. We want to try to keep a tall torso. Think like you're doing the limbo as you go backwards, keeping your torso straight, and then push again back through the floor, down with your legs into the floor to lift yourself back up. So you're always pushing down into the ground. To make it more challenging, let your legs lay flat. Now you're going to really have to use your quads to push into the floor. You're going to go through a larger range of motion as you push up. Now you might not be able to get down this far when you first start out. So what you'll have to do is just work through the top range of motion in the movement that you can control currently and start there. Again, toes tucked. In the range of motion you can control is easiest. Toes down is a little bit more challenging. Perform through the range of motion you can control. Now as you're starting to work depth with this movement, you can provide some assist using a band. Again, you can have the toes tucked, working out, or the toes relaxed, working out, and provide that assist, which will help add to some of that range of motion, allow you to go a little bit deeper into that range of motion. Again, pushing your legs down into the floor, keeping a neutral torso as you lean backwards. I like putting a band around the waist or underneath the armpits. That works best. If you don't have a band or a squat rack, I'll show you another version in just a second. But you can also do this in the opposite way too. So the band can assist you back further into the stretch and then provide you resistance coming out of it. This is a little bit more challenging, but also helps develop that strength in some of those outer limits. If you don't have bands at home or in a gym, you can use some of these plyo boxes to provide you some cushion and a target to shoot for. At home, a couch works well, or the stairs as well too. Just put a yoga mat down to make it a little bit softer if you don't have soft carpeting. but you're just going to lean back, tap the box, and come back upright. So tapping the box provides a little bit of assist coming out of it. You can use that box to bounce up out of that position a little bit. It also gives you a target to shoot for that over time you can start lowering that target deeper and deeper. Another way to add some variety to this and make it a little bit more challenging but still allow you to get into some deeper ranges of motion is by raising your feet up off the ground. So using this is a 6-inch plyo box to raise my feet up. The stairwell, again, works nice if you're doing it at home, but this lifts me up into a larger amount of knee bend. So when I lean back, you can see my knee bend is a greater angle than what I would be doing if I was flat on the ground. I would have to go further back with my torso. This brings the floor up to me to allow me to lean back a little bit more comfortably through that deeper range of motion. And you're going to notice this a little bit more in your quad towards the patella or kneecap. Again, don't work through pain. Should not have any pain or lingering discomfort the next day either, just a workout feeling. Foam roller also works nice for this. Putting the foam roller right underneath the feet. Again, leaning backwards and pushing back up. We can also do this version through the band assisted or resisted versions that we've done in the past as well too. So this is again another option that you have at your disposal. This is again also another version of the Nordic that you can do if you don't have bands and attachment point to work with the bands. Bands seem a little bit more natural than adding a weight to it, but a weight adds a nice progressive periodization that you can gradually expose yourself to more and more load over time through the range of motion you can control. Now, when we do these exercises in the Sports Rehab Expert Training Program, you're going to find that any number of these exercises are going to be your current entry point. Keep in mind, our first workout, the longevity workout, is always going to be body weight. It's next up the capacity, the second workout, and the affinity workout, the third workout, that you're going to start adding some resistance into the equation. So again, you're kind of always cycling through these movements, doing it body weight, adding load, focusing on range of motion, so that we're always progressing some variable so that you keep improving. A lot of different progressions for this exercise. One is not necessarily more right than another, and you don't have to reach a certain goal before you progress on to the next one. Biggest key factor is that you're not working through pain or any type of lingering discomfort. Should just feel like a workout sensation. Again, start at the easiest level and find a point or an entry point that is most challenging for you, and then work through that range of motion that's comfortable and build some tolerance in those positions and gradually expose yourself to a larger and larger range of motions. If you get stuck, don't stall out at one level, just progress to the next level or regress back underneath the level and perform that again, as you may find as you box around your current capabilities, meaning challenge yourself a little bit above what you're capable of doing, or do more reps of an easier version, that you'll find that you progress and break through that plateau. So again, don't get stuck and stay on one version the whole time. Practice one version for a period of time, at minimum I would say 2 weeks to 4 week blocks, upwards to 12 weeks. But again, if you feel like you stall out, then you can change the variation up so that you can keep pushing yourself forward.